President Hollande has confirmed that French troops are taking part in operations against Islamists in northern Mali to halt rebel advances. The UN had called for a swift deployment of international troops following massive clashes in a key central town there. Let's talk about this with Abayomi Azikiwe, the editor of Pan-African Newswire. Abayomi, morning to you. France has intervened in a number of countries in recent years, such as Ivory Coast, Libya, and of course just last week, Central African Republic. What outcome do you expect their action in Mali to achieve?
Well, President Hollande is saying that it's an open-ended intervention. Apparently, there are French ground troops that are now operating in Mali. There have also been reports of helicopter gunships as well. It's a very interesting scenario, considering the fact that there had been long discussion since last year about training 3,500 troops from the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, to intervene in order to put down a rebellion in the north of the country that has been led by the Tuareg nationality. Initially, the partition of the country was led by the MNLA, the Movement for the National Liberation of Azawad, but Islamist forces have been involved in the north of the country as well. They're using this as a pretext for French direct military intervention. Now, it's interesting that Captain Sanogo, who staged the coup d'etat last March against President Traore of Mali, was trained in the United States. Also, he installed the president of the country, who in fact holds a U.S. passport, and he's also a representative of Microsoft Corporation in Africa. That is Mr. Dioncounda Traore. Mr. Traore apparently made the request for direct French intervention just this past week. So we have both the involvement of France and the United States in this scenario. And
some well-connected names there by the sound of it. Let's just talk about the rebels at the moment in Mali. These rebels, if I'm not mistaken, were the same kind of people reportedly involved in the violent crisis back in Libya in 2011 as pro-Gaddafi fighters. If that's the case, can we expect the same level of bloodshed in Mali to escalate as it did in Libya?
Well, the so-called rebels in the north are not necessarily a uniform group politically. Some are more secular than others. The MNLA has been associated with the former Jamahiriya government in Libya, which was overthrown in 2011. However, the more Islamist groups are associated with the conflict that has been going on in neighboring Algeria. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton visited Algeria back in November in an effort to consolidate and to implement the United Nations Security Council resolution that was passed in October that purportedly authorized military intervention in Mali. So I think they're using the involvement of Ansar Dine and AQIM, the Islamic organization, the Al-Qaeda group of Islamic Maghreb, as a pretext for intervening militarily in Mali. It's hard to believe that the United States, with its close ties with the Malian military, would not have been aware of the plans for the coup d'etat back in April. It's also back in March, and it's also highly unlikely that France would not have intimate knowledge about the inner workings of the current political situation inside Mali, since it's a former French colony, and France has military forces in Mali that have been there for many, many years. So it's a very dangerous situation.
While you're still on the line, before we lose that line, I just want to talk about the bigger picture regarding France. France has got hundreds of troops and a number of military bases across Western Africa. What kind of future do you see for this very active French contingent in the region? Where's it going to go?
It's not clear at this point. I do believe that both France and the United States have long-term plans for military intervention in Africa. The U.S. just announced last month that they had 35 different countries in Africa that they plan to intervene in militarily. So this is something that's going to take place over the long haul.
All right. Thanks for your thoughts. Abayomi Azikiwe, the editor of Pan-African Newswire.